Well, we talked about Thundercracker yesterday, might as well talk about Skywarp today. From Maketoys and their remaster line, this is the Remaster EX MTRM EX12 Skycrow. And I gotta say, if you're gonna make a fake name for Skywarp, Skycrow, pretty good name, I like that. It actually kind of sounds like it could be a Transformer, you know, like maybe an evil version of Air Razor would be Skycrow. But you can see here on the box, I do quite like this box. A nice, tasteful box. It looks like it's a fine piece of art. You have this jet mode and the robot mode. Kind of curious why he has a blue armpit there, but you know, we'll look at that in a minute. Here on the side, just the name and the jet mode. Here on the back we can see robot mode, vehicle mode, more robot modes, faces, yay, yay, yay. Alright, so like I said, we looked at, I think his name was Lightning, but the Thundercracker version of this mold yesterday. Today we're going to look at Skywarp. It's probably going to be a much smaller review because it's the same mold, just different colors. But we'll still get a good feel for it, especially because now I'm a little bit more experienced with this mold. Here is how Skywarp comes packaged inside the box. You can see you got the two plastic trays. We got guns and blast effects and pieces of a base and the alternate head. There's a flight stand behind him. Now let's get him out of this layer. This is how Skywarp is going to more or less look straight out of the box. I have already extended his arms out. They come folded in as though they're about to be transformed. To complete his silhouette, we'll go ahead and put his null rays on. You know, I always call these the null rays. They're not really null rays. They're not Starscrew now, are they? It's a very tight fit, just like on Thundercracker yesterday. There we go. And now we got those in. So Skywarp looking pretty solid. I don't think there's much argument to the idea that Skywarp is one of the best looking Seekers. I think he has the best color scheme of the Seekers, probably of any Transformer in general. And I do like most of the colors here. I will say I think Skywarp has black shoulders. I could be wrong, and that could be like it changes between cartoon and toy. But I like this lilac they went with. It's a very good purple, almost closer to like a periwinkle to my eye. Alongside that, he does have the bigger head for this redone version. We of course have the small head that we're going to be able to put on in a minute. And we can also see that the proportions, generally speaking, throughout the figure are very solid. In terms of articulation, we have a good ball joint at the head, lets you go side to side. Also, there's a spring in the ears for transformation, so they can fold out of the way. You have a universal at the shoulder. You have an upper arm rotation. You have a good double jointed elbow. I will say that on Skywarp, his hinges for his wings are a little bit harder to get tabbed in, so they do flop down a bit. Here in the fingers, we do have a good bit of articulation. You have a ball joint at the knuckle of the thumb. You can go up and down at the thumb. You can kind of wiggle it around so you can get things like a thumbs up if you want. But be very careful because this is a fragile joint. Here at the actual fingers, you have a joint at the knuckle, a joint at the mid-knuckle, and a joint at the third digit. You can't spread them out, but you can get them to be very naturalistic in how they splay. And you also have wrist articulation. You have waist articulation, as well as an ab crunch. You gotta move the pelvis joint out of the way, but you can get use out of that ab crunch. A universal at the hip. There we go, just had to get the armor out of the way. Come on. It's stiff on him. There we go, it is ratcheted, so it does go. You have an upper leg cut, a good single jointed knee, and then down here in the foot, you can move the foot back and forward a little bit. Just a little bit. So Skywarp, all the same articulation as yesterday, but this time around, I actually know about all of it. So there's that. It's a great looking Seeker to be sure. Looking at this robot mode, I think it's a happy mix of toy and cartoon aesthetics, whereas the original Masterpiece Seeker was, well, just a bit of a nightmare, and the current official Masterpiece Seeker and the Deformation Space both go for a purely cartoon look. This is a happy middle. I kind of see a little bit of IDW here, a little bit of toy, a little bit of cartoon, exactly what you want. Now, my one complaint about the proportions is the head. I know it feels like it should work. The head does look better in terms of silhouette, but the face is now way too small. I think it makes the Seekers look just a bit, well, dumb. So we're going to pull this head off, being very careful about the ball joint. Come on. It's always hard to get it off the first time. There we go. There we go. And then, boop. Here, stand up, Skywarp. Stand up, Skywarp. There we go. You can see, this is the original head. It's a good bit smaller, but I think it looks so much better. It's more proportionate with that face. You can also see these two faces we got here, right? Just like with Thundercracker, the two pre-applied faces are the stoic face and this kind of surprised talking face. I'm not big on either one of these, but we do have 3 more faces to work with. They come right underneath the flight stand. With them, you can see we have more of a big, happy grinning face, a kind of talking, sneering face, and then a good smirk. I like all 3 of these faces so much more, but because it's Skywarp, I think I'm going to take the big, happy, laughing face. Takes a second just to pull that off. And to switch it out, I'm going to pull my small head back in, the head I like more. We're going to push underneath the chin, get that face off, put the new face on. Boop. It takes just a sec, you gotta find the right angle. There we go. Now I do want to say this, I corrected it in that video, but in the Thundercracker video yesterday, I did originally think that you would need a screwdriver to fix the face. I put a clip in that review to correct myself, but I do want to say that again here too. The faces do just pop off, but you need to get the head off the ball joint first. And after that, we'll just put it back on. There we go. And now you have a big, doofy, laughing Skywarp, just as Primus intended. With the smaller head and that big happy face, that looks so much more like the Skywarp I know and love. I will say that yesterday, because I was still trying to learn this mold, because I was still trying to figure out the eccentricities of it, I wasn't too sure how to really play with this thing. But now having a day where I've been able to mess around with Thundercracker, and Skywarp, honestly, his joints feel just a little bit better. Not only that, but literally just getting Skywarp alongside Thundercracker makes both figures feel so much better to me. I think Skywarp is the better looking toy. I think he's the better feeling toy. His joints have all worked out better for me overall than they did on Thundercracker, where they were a bit stiff at times. But seeing these two together, I'm really, really happy that I got both of them. Yesterday, when I was having some frustrations with my Thundercracker, first time I was messing with this mold, I was kind of thinking I was going to regret this decision. But no, they look spectacular together in robot mode. Alongside that, if you want to see how these guys scale against other Masterpiece figures and other third-party figures, check out Thundercracker's review yesterday. But now, why don't we actually check out Skywarp's accessories and then his jet mode. So alongside all the other pieces we've already looked at in terms of his faces and the extra head, you also get 2 missile pods that you can use in vehicle mode. You have these 2 blast effects that can fit right over the barrel of the null rays, like so. Boop. Good fit. These same parts were included with Thundercracker with no changes in the color. And then you also get a flight stand. The flight stand is better used for jet mode, but underneath you can see you have all these gaps. You can put the extra faces down here, as well as the blast effects. However, there is not a place to store the extra head. It's a shame. It would have been nice if you could have also hid that down here, maybe also get those other big missiles down here, but it's nice to at least be able to keep track of these guys. And the stand itself is a good, weighty acrylic base. Something really cool happened while I was transforming this Skywarp, and I don't know if it's ever really happened like this for me before. When I was transforming Thundercracker yesterday, I got so frustrated. The directions were bad, and I have a big thing in my head where I don't want to watch someone else's video to inform how to make my video. In my belief, if you can't transform it yourself, that is an issue with the toy or with the directions. And I think it led to me being kind of grumpy towards Thundercracker in so many ways. And yet, when I started fiddling with Skywarp, all the steps were still there. I didn't forget any of them. There was no moment where it's like, oh, well, now where do I go from here? Everything still clicked. And I realized, as I was doing it this time, this transformation, how organic it all works. The legs fold in so perfectly. It's like a more advanced version of the classic Seeker fold. The torso, nice, smooth, very little collision once you know what's happening. And it's making me realize, right? With Thundercracker, it was my first time dealing with this transformation. And it was with a figure that I already was a little over my head with, because I don't do Masterpiece that often. I don't know what to expect from them, and I got kind of intimidated. And I think that led to me becoming a lot more harsh towards Thundercracker than I normally would be. And yet, Skywarp, messing with this one so soon after Thundercracker, it's making me realize just all the clever things here, all the smart things, all the wonderful things about the transformation, the robot mode, the vehicle mode, which, by the way, jet mode, gorgeous. Kind of goes without saying, right? Absolutely beautiful. This big, big jet. Obviously no Decepticon logos, but I still love how reserved they are with the purple. It's just a little bit on the wings, a little bit on the tail fins, and the gun. The cockpit looks phenomenal. The shapes of the jet are just to die for. The tail fins are still a little bit of an issue with me because they are so paper thin. But, yeah. I don't know what to say. There's a part of me that wants to go back and redo the Thundercracker review now, because I'm like, oh, well, the Thundercracker review is now a bad review. I argue, though, it's not. The Thundercracker review was genuine for my first attempt at messing with this mold. This is my second attempt, and so many things make more sense to me now because I have a better understanding as to the waters I'm wading into. As a result, whereas yesterday I was complaining, saying that Thundercracker felt archaic, now, with my better viewpoint on it, I can honestly say Skywarp feels amazing. One of the best Masterpiece transformations I've ever engaged with. And though there's still clutter in the robot mode and kibble, and the articulation's not what it could be, and there's minor annoyances, I'm really, really happy I had both of them. And I'm especially happy I decided to do this review right after Thundercracker, after a day, because it's really sunken into me that, yeah, sometimes you just need a little bit of time with the figure to really see how great it can be. The Maketoys Seeker mold is like a very well-done murder mystery. You see it the first time around, and sure, it's fine, and maybe it's even good, but you start to think to yourself, oh, I don't really see how that adds up. So you go back and you rewatch it, and you start to notice things, small things, almost insignificant details, woven in so carefully, and you start to realize. You go back and you see it a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, a sixth time, and you see everything. The twists, the turns, the very careful, artistic decisions made. And you understand more and more what the intention was. You understand the design, the mechanics. You understand everything so clearly. And then you realize it's a good toy. I kind of lost the analogy there at some point. But that's honestly how I feel about this. I got Thundercracker yesterday, did his review, and at the end of that review I said, he's good, but he's not the best thing ever. But then I kept messing with him last night, because there was something magnetic about him. And now I'm messing with Skycrow, my apologies, I should use his government name. But Skycrow, it's perfect. Not perfect, no, that's hyperbole, but it is very, 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 very good. It is a great Masterpiece figure. It is a great third-party figure. It is a great Seeker figure. And for right now, it's still on pretty deep discount. You can get Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Starscream on the Big Bad Toy Store for $100. That's not bad. $100 for a figure like this is pretty amazing. And they've done basically every other Seeker you could think of. They've done Acid Storm, Sunstorm, Thrust, Dirge, Ramjet. I'm literally looking at their Slipstream. I think I'm good with 3, right? I got Thundercracker, I got Skywarp, I got Slipstream, I got my 3 favorite Seekers. If I got another one, it would probably be Dirge, just to have a cone head. But get any one you want. And assuming you get a good copy with all the joints tight and all the gimmicks intact, you're going to be having a great experience with a transforming toy. Even if that first go-around's a little bit rough. Every time you touch it again, every time you transform it again, every time you pose it again, you see a little bit more that this was a quality figure. And besides, it means I can have Skywarp and Thundercracker do the tango now.